At this point, I think it's good to take a little bit of a step back and talk about the natural lens in the eye before we talk about how it turns into a cataract. So, every human has a natural lens that sits in the middle of the eye, shielded by our iris or colored part of the eye, and it's suspended by a number of strings called zonules in a natural capsule. And we're all born with a clear lens. Which helps us focus the light rays from our world onto the retina. And as we get older, that focusing ability and even that zooming ability to, looking far away to up close becomes less clear and less has a shorter range. So cataracts start to develop is when the natural lens in the eye, which is made of proteins, the proteins start to break down and clump together, and then the lens hardens and eventually becomes milky. And this is a very, very gradual process. It starts as early as people are in their 50s in terms of the protein breakdown pathophysiology, but it may not actually become apparent till decades later in life. And that's really the key, is that not everybody who has an academic cataract needs to have something done about it. It's only if it starts to affect their vision. And different people will sense those symptoms at different thresholds, and different people will sense them at different ages. And it all depends on how the brain processes the visual information, as well as their visual responsibilities and their visual needs. So I always say to my patients, the same cataract in you, your sibling, and your neighbor might become symptomatic at different times just because of your higher neuroprocessing and your visual demands.
I think in my family's case, like my dad suddenly realized he was struggling to make out words on the TV screen, and he's not short-sighted, so
Mm.
perhaps a lot of people have that experience.
Some of the most common symptoms that patients report to me are difficulty with driving at night. So they come into the clinic, they go into their optometrist, their vision is 6/6 with their current glasses, but they're like, but I can't see at night. Things are awful. There's such a dramatic drop. There's glare and halos around lights. I can't read street signs, and I've actually cut that out of my life. So sometimes that's the first thing that patients complain of. The other things are glare during daytime. So if they're walking on lovely fresh concrete that's very light in color and it's a very sunny day, that reflection can cause a lot of glare and not impair their vision in the next 10 meters. Other people complain that they can't read for a sustained period of time like they used to, despite updating their reading glasses. And the final symptom I see commonly is people are walking in their neighborhood and they don't recognize their neighbors or friends' faces that they see at the right distance. So people start waving to them and it's a bit embarrassing. They're like, oh, who's that? And then they come up closer and they know who they are.